Hey everyone, how's it going? Charlie Morgan here and welcome back to another video for the YouTube channel. So, bit of an interesting case study for you today. I'm going to be talking about how I basically added $10,000, that'd be cool, $100,000 in monthly revenue to my company in about 3 months. Now that's pretty cool, that's a pretty big statement, and I want to break down the thing that made it happen. There's one thing, it works incredibly well, and if you do it, you're going to get lots more clients and make a shitload of money. To give you context, basically, where are we now? We're in April of 2023. I rounded out last year, around like that sort of December period, when my coaching business, Imperium Agency, was doing about $95,000 per month in revenue. That was our sort of like revenue number in December. Now, for full transparency, right, that's lifetime value of clients signed. Right, I'm not going to bullshit you. That's lifetime value of clients signed. It is not cash collected. Right, so the way our program works is it's high ticket, and our market can't justify extremely high prices in one go. So we split it up over a 6-month period to make it more digestible and easier for them. Our retention rate on those payments is basically 100%. So the money, like having signed over 150, 200 clients on those payment plans, we know it comes in. So we can say like with pretty accurate confidence that when we sign clients, we make that amount of money. So December was $95,000 and March was $195,000, right? So I think we signed around like 28 people, about $7,000. So if I actually run the math here, just want to make sure that I'm not clickbaiting. Yeah, so we signed 28 people for our program, and our program is $6,900, right? I'm not gonna, why would I hide the price of our program? And that's like around, $195,000. So we just saw a big jump in revenue addition, and this has sort of been climbing. And I want to just explain like the one thing that we've been sort of relying on to make this happen. It's an awesome method. It works incredibly well. And if you use it in your business, you can see jumps exactly like that. So what I'm going to do is actually hop into my screen, into Miro, and just sort of graph this out for you and just show the trajectory we've been on. And yeah, I think you're gonna love it. So by the way, for those of you who don't know who I am, I've actually built and scaled my own marketing agency, and now I help marketing agencies get more clients. The agency I run is Northflow Consulting. You can Google it. We've signed over 350 like paid traffic retainer clients and coaching clients. The thing's a beast, it's a machine, we get great results for people. But I'm more interested in helping you get clients for your agency. So let's hop into Miro and we'll figure out exactly how this works. All right, people, how are we doing? So here we are in Miro explaining how we went from $95,000 a month to $195,000 a month, basically in about 3 months. Now, once again, for full transparency, if you skip the intro, this is lifetime value, right? So this is not cash collected revenue, it's lifetime value, but our retention rate on payment plans is basically near enough to 100%. So I just want you to be aware of that. I believe in full transparency, and I don't want to use any sort of tricks to make you think I'm making more than I am immediately, but it's the same sort of value because, well, it's what people pay. But anyway, let's talk about how I basically added 100K in 3 months. It's a pretty simple idea, it's a pretty simple concept, and I'm going to walk through it. So if I map a graph out here, right, like this, and then let's say on here we have, well, the graph seems to have some form of scoliosis. Not the best with, forgive me guys, I'm getting started. Right, so let's just say this is the graph, right? We're just going to ignore the fact that it's got a spine problem. But what we can observe here is the trajectory of my company, right? So this is Imperium Agency. For any of you wondering, we obviously coach marketing agency owners on how to get more clients. And as I sort of broke down at the beginning, the math of this is that our program is $6,900. Clients can do 6-month payment plans, which means they do $150 per month in US dollars for 6 months. Pretty much everyone pays because they get results and they love us and it's cool. By the way, this number will be subject to change. If you're watching this and it's not April, it'll probably be more than this. We increase it pretty much like every quarter because we add more to the program. So this is not static and it will be more in due course. However, basically we signed around 28 clients at this amount, which gives us about 195K in lifetime value, and that was throughout March, which was cool. Now here's the cool thing, right? So let me sort of just scribble this all out, and I am going to redraw this graph because it is actually pissing me off. Here's the cool thing, and here's exactly what made this happen. So if I map out a graph like this, and then we'll go up like this. So what we can observe is that if we go, let's start when we actually started the company. So let's just say that this is April, right? in 2022. We'll just actually call it March because that's more accurate. So that's March 2022, and then let's just say this is a year, so this is March in 2021. Now, we started Imperium probably around like January of 2021, and I'd say in March we were probably doing about like 10 grand a month probably, and it sort of grew. So here's basically what happened, right? And what we'll observe is that obviously in, let's just say this is January, right, of 22. So in January of 22 we're doing around 100k, and in April we're doing 195k. So what the fuck happens between 3 months? Because from March to January, so about this 9-month period, we went from 10k a month to 100k a month, which is like a 9-month period to make that happen. But then in a third of the time that we went from 10 to 100k, we went from 100k to 195k. So it took us like 9 months to 10x our revenue here, and in here it basically took 3 months, right, to 2x it. But obviously we added like the same amount of money in a third of the time, right? So this is why, right? This curve here is exponential, right? And what we can observe is a compounding effect, right? This is what caused this to happen, right? There's no shiny object here. There's no course to be sold, right? There's no fucking little secret. The secret to this exponential level of growth in a short period of time is exponentialism, right? Which is basically compounded feedback over enough time. So what's happened here is our growth with Imperium was kind of slow, right? It was a little bit more sort of like, generous than this graph shows, because we were doing, but it was probably more like, like this, and then zoom, just like this, right? So if this here is 100k, right, this would probably be like 200k, and this is like 10k. Right, so this is the sort of like trajectory that we've been on with Imperium. Is we grew, like the first couple of months were quite grueling and slow because we didn't even have a program, and then like when we had a program and we built some systems, we had this nice little period of growth, like just sort of linear, like a linear, just like slow and steady sort of like adding an extra like 15 grand a month to the revenue, and then what happens is over here it's just like whoosh, we just sort of fly up. Now the reason this has happened here, and the reason we've seen this massive growth, is simply because we stuck to it for a long enough period of time, and we stuck with the problems that we faced in these early stages. And what that allowed us to do was basically amass testimonials. It allowed us to amass great product knowledge, and also it just allowed like social proof and word of mouth to start compounding as well. So like really, I can be transparent, like our outreach has increased a bit. We've increased the volume of our outreach, but really the biggest contributor to our exponential success in the last 3 months has just been time, right? And I don't mean the 3 months isn't the time, but I mean the fact that we've given something long enough to start really compounding. So, the other way we can observe this is if we see, if we go to Warren Buffett's net worth over time, we'll observe like the exact same sort of pattern here, right? Like just nothing, boom. Like Warren Buffett could be like, how I went from 36 billion to 58 billion in 10 years, right? And like everyone will be, oh my god, but like what people don't see is like they only look at the 10-year period here, and they fail to look at the 50-year period prior to it. And what they see in the 50-year period prior to it is just like results that just don't look that. I mean, to be fair, like the dude wasn't even a millionaire until he was 30. This is the really interesting thing, right? And then it just goes 1.4, 2.4, 3.4, 7, 8. So like even here, right? 7, 8, 10. This isn't particularly like impressive. It is impressive to add $1 million a year, of course, but like in his terms, like, he was only adding like 1 or 2 million in like yearly income, personal net worth, and then like we see 10 to 25. That's impressive, and it sort of gets there, and then it's here. I goes from 47 to 52, and he goes from 67 million to 376 million, and then he doubles that, and then that becomes 1 billion, 2 billion, 4 billion, and then this is the big one from 59 to 66 is he just suddenly goes from like having 3.4 billion to 17 billion, and then like it goes to 36 and it goes to 50, and it just like, this is how shit works. This is how things compound over time. And if you stick with a niche and a market and a problem for long enough, you will give your business enough time to start to see these effects, and this sort of feedback loop will kick in. So I wanted to record this video because there is no shiny object, there is no strategy, there is no like little new hack I found. It's just good old exponentialism and good old time, right? And I wanted to record this, and I also wanted to be transparent because, like, you know, you have to realize that if you don't give things time, then time won't give you things, right? And that's a little quote that I just came up with, and I'm quite proud of that one, to be honest. But yeah, if you don't give things time, time won't give you things. So we need to recognize that exponentialism is the secret. And like, if you want to wonder how people suddenly go from, you know, doing 100 grand a month to then 200 grand a month in like a couple months, well, they've probably just given the market enough time to start to realize they're actually the best and they actually have a lot of value. You know, I can sort of demonstrate this with one example, our Trustpilot. So if I go here, right, what we can observe is this is our Trustpilot for Imperium Agency, and like what we can start to see here is like our Trustpilot itself is pretty linear. Like the amount of extra reviews we get, like, you know, there's no sort of like massive like spike in like exponential spike in reviews, because the reason behind that is we've only been doing Trustpilot for like since November, so it's only been like, you know, 6 months. But the cool thing about this is like what happens now is when people look up Imperium Agency, they see we've got like 62 5-star reviews, and like, you know, best courses, one of the best courses out there, phenomenal, like, you know, great experience, like SOPs are the best in the biz, programs are life changer. Like this is and you have to just give a business like a long time, because we couldn't have reviews like this without that. Now another example of this is my YouTube channel. Now if I go to Social Blade and actually go to my channel, what we'll observe is linear growth, right? So what I can see here, if I hop into Social Blade, and this is available for anyone, is my YouTube channel is growing in a linear fashion, right? So right now, if I sort of draw out like this, right now, like my YouTube channel is just doing this, right? And it's, you know, we're seeing a little bit of growth. Like, you know, it might not be that flat. We might just be, you know, we might start at 0 and then we might just be going like a little bit at a time, just like slight, slow, steady growth, just like this, right? And then what's going to happen in like, I don't know how long it's going to take, because that's the thing about time, is humans and time don't really mix. We don't really understand it. Is like, you know, my YouTube channel will just do this. Like that, there will be like, you know, it will do what's happened here between, you know, 59 and 72. Like it would just, boom, it would fly up. Like this from 59 to 72 for Warren Buffett. This is like a 10x increase in net worth. At that level is insane. And I'm quite happy with like my YouTube growth right now, because like you don't really want to put any emotional attachment to a time frame when it comes to trying to achieve a goal. What you want to do is put full attachment onto the actual activity to achieve the goal, and do it consistently enough for exponentialism to reward you. The problem with this is that because during this stage here, growth is so slow, right? People get discouraged and they're expecting results pretty much immediately or pretty quickly, because their brains are hardwired for instant gratification because of all the time they spend on Instagram and eating shit food. And so what happens is like they apply the mental model they use for everything else in their life to business, and then it doesn't work and they get discouraged and they just switch. So like, well, the problem with this beginning point here is it's the slowest growth with the most work, right? And it's the most like, it is the pain is the highest, because it's like you're working extremely hard for little to no reward at all. Right? And like you can, most humans don't even know this thing exists, and they don't have the foresight. And so when they look at Warren Buffett's net worth here, they assume that around 66 is when Warren Buffett started to acquire Mexican cartel stocks, right? Or did something shady to just suddenly see a huge increase. But they don't even look at the results before. And so like, if you think about Imperium, for example, so this stage here, so between this point and this point, we go from 100k to 200k, right? But between this point and this point, we go from 0k, and then really probably around here, we're probably suddenly doing like, you know, 25k. Now that's a decent amount of money, and you might think that's a lot of money, but when you're used to another agency already making 100 grand a month, like, it's painful. But we knew this would happen. Like we had the foresight and the strategic prowess to observe that anything that builds value takes time. So like you want like how do I visualize this? Because the market itself, like the market will gravitate towards value, right? And by gravitate, I mean like people will in the market start to realize who's adding the most value and who's actually solving the problems in the best way possible. And the market will move towards those people. And so like, obviously our income as a company is determined by how many people buy our thing, and how many people buy our thing determines how many people have gravitated to our thing. How many people have gravitated to our thing is determined by how many people we've already solved the problem for, and how many people we've solved the problem for is determined by our work ethic in the early stages, right? So like, you have to realize the market will move towards value with time, right? And this can take a long fucking time. Takes a long time for shit to grow. Now, to go from 0 to 200k a month in basically like, 14 months is not like easy to do. And the reason we've been able to do it is because there's me and my business partner, there's two of us. We both have disgusting work ethics, and we've already done a similar thing with another business. But my point is that like, if you want to just see growth in your business, you have to just give it time, right? There's no fucking shiny object. You just have to find something that works and just keep doing it over and over again, and just withstand the pain of this long tail end, and make the work the goal, and make consistency the goal. And any emotional attachment you have to the outcome and the time frame you must remove, because otherwise you'll get discouraged and you'll just keep resetting. And so I'll leave you with this in closing. Most people's business progress in this space is pretty abysmal, and there's a reason behind that, and I can show you exactly what it is. I just draw another graph here. So let's have a graph like this, and then let's have our little exponential curve in yellow here, and it just flies up like that. Obviously we know most people give up before this point, right? It's usually in this stage here. What happens with most people is, I wish I could like, let's actually just, hang on. Let's have a little fun with this, because I want to help you visualize this. So most people, right, are this stick man, right? And what happens is they start their business journey at 0, right? And then they work and they work and they work and they work. And then around like here, when it's like most painful, like there's no, like you can't really see any, there's no light at the end of the tunnel because the results are so far away, and you've already been working for so long and you think you should be here, but you're not because you haven't given it time. What happens is like most people, like they can't withstand the pain, and they want to just keep running a business, but they think that the market they're in and the problem they're solving and the solution they're providing isn't working. And so what they do is they move back. So like, imagine for a second that oh shit, right? So this is obviously their business, which is comprised of their niche and their solution, right? And like, what happens is like most people, if I come here, why can't I? Why do I keep drawing? I want to pick them up. So most people are like here, and then they have their niche and their solution, and they get here, and then like, they're like, oh no, this sucks. This niche is just too painful. I can't do it. Like, there's this problem and I can't solve it, or my solution, my service delivery just isn't good enough. I think it'd probably be easier if I went to HVAC. And then they come here to HVAC or whatever other niche people hop to, I don't know. And then they start working in HVAC, and they keep working, and they get to here, and then they haven't seen the progress they wanted to see. They want to be here, but they're here, and they just haven't got the time. And then they're like, oh, this HVAC thing, I just feel like, the customers are just too direct, and I can't book meetings, or like, I'm just having this problem where the leads don't show up, and I think I'm just going to try dentist instead. Dentist might be the way to go. Someone said dentist works. And then like, the person who said dentist works is the person who's here. But the reason the person who's here is because, well, they're not here in terms of results. They're here in terms of time, right? But then they go into dentist, and then they start working. They're like, maybe they get a bit further. They're like, okay, yeah, cool. Oh, dude, I've been doing this for so long, and I've been plateaued, and I just don't think I can grow. Dentist isn't the niche for me. Vroom, back to fucking gyms. Vroom, they go up, and they're like, vroom, and this is just niche hopping. Same thing happens in e-commerce. They're like, I'm doing Facebook ads. Oh, iOS 14, too much of a bitch. I'll do email marketing. Oh, email marketing, I'm just having this problem. And then they bump. Like, this is how most people just go. Like, I could make a GIF, and this would just be like most people's life. Is they just go and they just don't give each thing enough time for the effects they put into motion to compound. And every time they reset their niche, or every time they reset their solution, they end up back here. And then they're just like, bang. And then what happens is they're eventually like, I've tried different niches in the agency space and it's just not working. I'm going to try fucking e-commerce drop shipping instead, or Amazon FBA, or Airbnb investing, or any of the above. And then they do Airbnb investing and they're like, no, and I'll try this instead. Or and this is just most people's life, is they just don't give a couple of variables enough time. They just keep cycling through this linear curve before, and all they had to do was just stick out the thing at the start and then they'd be like here. But they don't, because we are by nature pain avoidance machines and we don't really understand time. So that's everything for today's video. I wanted to just sort of walk you through, how this works. So like, we just imagine that like this is me and Bo. Obviously, slight basic like pictures, but Bo and I were like, yeah, we're here. And when we got to this point where we put like lots of work in and hadn't seen like exponential results, we were just like, all right, well, we know we've got like the best product on the market. We know we've got a refund rate of 0.4%. We know we've got like a conversion testimonial rate of near enough 50%, and probably it should be higher than that, but we don't really try. Let's just keep going because the business is showing signs that it's producing value for its customers. And so let's just stick along the curve. And then we hit March of 2022. And then suddenly it's like, woo, up we are. And now we're here. And like I would be celebrating being here, but like there's no need to celebrate the result. The only thing I'd celebrate is the work, because by celebrating the work, we reinforce the result. So that's basically the secret. That's the method. That's the strategy. The only way this is possible, of course, is if you have good service delivery and actually add value, because the only way for a business to compound exponentially in revenue is to actually solve a problem for its customers better than its competitors. So if you're waiting for this little curve here, but your service delivery is shit, then it's not going to happen. However, your knowledge of your service delivery will also compound, right? So if this is you, right? Oh, hang on, let me just get rid of this guy, right? If this is new and this is your service delivery is going to suck for a while. And then what will happen is you'll unlock a piece of knowledge that you can combine with all the other knowledge you've acquired, or a couple pieces of knowledge, and then you'll just fly up, and then you'll become an expert. So this doesn't apply for just numbers. It also applies for mastery and levels of expertise in service delivery. So it's just like if you're bad at service delivery and all your clients are leaving, you're getting nothing, and then you stick with it because you're a hard motherfucker, and then one day you bump over this gap here and you figure out some new information, and then like, wow, you're up here. Okay? So that's how it works. I wanted to share this with you because it's important and most people don't think about it like this. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. If you did enjoy it, you can subscribe, you can also comment, you can like the thing, and in the first link of the description will be a program that you can buy. It'll take you through to a discovery call, and if this is you and you want more money, then book that call because it will solve your problems. That's my pitch. It's pretty awful, I know, but honestly, like, we help so many people and do so much good that you'll probably hear about us one way or another. So talk soon. Take care.